Air Transat has just announced it will slash 6% of its capacity from May to October due to fuel shortages linked to the war in the Middle East. The CBC's Mark Carcasole is here with me in studio. Okay, so what exactly does this mean?
Arti, there's sort of dueling issues here depending on where in the world you live. It's almost as if supply versus demand, if you will. So here in North America where we are, the main issue when it comes to jet fuel is the cost of it for airlines to use. We don't necessarily have a shortage of it, but it is very expensive right now. Jet fuel has doubled in cost over the past 2 months, and it makes up about a quarter of an airline's operating costs, the largest quotient of their operating costs. So they have to find ways to continue on with their business with various efficiencies so that they can afford that jet fuel. Now, we've seen obviously issues like higher fares, fuel surcharges depending on the airline, and cutting of routes. And the latest, as Arti mentioned, being Air Transat, who say that they are scaling back their capacity by 6% from May to October. In a statement, they say they are reducing the number of frequencies on some routes to Europe and the Caribbean. They will also be extending the suspension of service to Cuba until October. Previously, Air Canada has announced that it is reducing flights from Toronto and Montreal to New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport. That is expected to resume in October. For now, they're still servicing LaGuardia and Newark, but they've cut several other routes as well. WestJet says they've been monitoring the situation. They've been charging people a temporary $60 surcharge on certain bookings. So if you have plans to travel anywhere right now this upcoming summer, these are things you need to keep in the back of your mind. With North American flights, it's not so much a shortage, but it will likely, at this point, the way things seem to be shaping up, cost you more.
Okay, so the jet fuel situation seems to be, as you're saying, it depends where it is that you're living. Yeah. So it seems to be particularly dire in Europe. Yeah,
Europe, they're dealing with a shortage of demand, the other side of the spectrum. In fact, the International Energy Agency has said that some nations within Europe may only have about 6 weeks of jet fuel supply to go. And that's a give or take thing. Some may have a little bit more than 6 weeks. Others may have a little bit less than 6 weeks that they have to operate on. In Europe, several airlines have issued warnings about potential jet fuel shortages to come. Airlines are raising various costs for consumers, fuel surcharges, pricier baggage fees, higher costs for long-haul tickets, adjusting, canceling routes. It's down to changing their financial outlooks at this point. So things are very dire. One interesting note, and this applies to the entire airline industry, United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby did an interview with CNBC Wednesday. Now, United obviously being back here in North America, but he says there's actually still strong demand for summer bookings. So much so that even though they'll be raising fees 15 to 20% during the busy travel season, the demand should actually help them recoup their jet fuel costs. So that's why one of the first tactics that airlines are taking, aside from cutting routes, is by jacking up prices, because they still feel that they could recoup that from the consumer. They don't know how long that may go for, though, how long that may be possible. But as always, the consumer is always the end of the chain, the first person hurt.
No doubt. Okay, thank you for this, Mark. That is the CBC's Mark Carcasole reporting.